Why did luxury watch prices like those of Rolex zoom during COVID? Could it hit us again? As we glide into 2025, let's decode this trend. Grab your coffee, this one's a doozy. Welcome back to Opulent Oasis. Cast your mind back to 2022, when some timepieces cost as much as a studio apartment. Those heady days are gone, but in the luxe watch game, it's always wise to expect the unexpected. What sparked the surge? It wasn't just for showing off on Zoom. We had a mix of production slowdowns, a spike in disposable incomes, thanks home office, and a whirlwind of market hype. It seems when the going gets tough, the watches get going. Could prices surge again? Predicting that is like trying to time travel with a broken watch. As we step into 2025, let's keep an eye out, but perhaps keep the wallet shut. Remember, it's just time we're tracking, not treasure hunting. The pre-pandemic watch market and changing consumer behavior. Back in spring 2022, while the world was flipping through chaos like a bad script, the luxury watch market was having its own drama. Prices weren't just climbing, they were on a rocket to the moon. Take the Rolex Daytona, for instance. It was fetching about $50,000 on the resale market, almost tripling its sticker price of $115,000. But there's a bit more to this tale than just pandemic-induced shopping sprees. Before the world knew what COVID-19 was, the watch industry was already ticking along nicely. An increasing thirst for the finer things in life was noticeable, particularly among the burgeoning middle and upper classes in rapidly expanding economies like China and India. For these folks, a luxury watch became more than a timepiece. It was a trophy for the wrist. Then there's the whole vintage is the new black trend. In our digital world, where smartphones have turned classic watches into charming anachronisms, people started valuing old-school mechanical and vintage watches more like art pieces than mere gadgets. It's like vinyl records. Suddenly, everyone wants a piece of the past on their shelf, or in this case, on their wrist. Before we go further, why not become part of the Opulent Oasis tribe? Subscribe and get the latest content first. Let's dive back in. Now, think about the tech craze for a sec. When smartwatches hit the market, they were the next big thing. Everyone had to have one. But as soon as they became ubiquitous, the allure fizzled out. Luxury watches, on the other hand, managed to maintain their je ne sais quoi, turning from high-end accessories into bona fide investment gold mines. People started viewing icons like the Rolex Daytona and Patek Philippe Nautilus not just as flashy status symbols, but as serious contenders for their investment portfolios. Why park your cash in a volatile stock market or an unpredictable real estate scene when a watch could potentially do the trick? And don't underestimate the power of social media in all this. YouTube and Instagram turned into runways for watch enthusiasts, influencers, and celebs to flaunt their shiny timekeepers. This didn't just show off, it schooled and seduced a new generation into the horological high life. As the buzz grew, so did demand for top-tier brands like Rolex and Audemars Piguet, pushing waitlists for some models into the years. Imagine that, waiting 3 years to give away a small fortune just for the privilege of sporting a luxury watch. Looking back, the watch market frenzy was fueled by a perfect storm of dwindling supply, digital distractions, and a solid dose of hype. Will we see a repeat performance? Only time will tell, but watching these trends is as entertaining as it is enlightening. The COVID-19 boom and market disruptions. When COVID-19 came barreling into our lives, it threw a wrench into just about everything, except, oddly enough, the luxury watch market. Here's a peek at how a global crisis became a golden era for the TikTok tycoons and their shiny offerings. As the world turned into a giant lounge area with travel and dining out on pause, wallets that were usually opened for airline tickets and Michelin stars started eyeing luxury indulgences instead. Turns out, the allure of a Rolex can be just as strong as a Roman holiday when you're not actually allowed to go to Rome. With the pandemic acting as an unexpected catalyst for change, the luxury watch market had to fast-track into the digital age. Traditional boutiques swapped plush carpets for pixels as e-commerce became the new showroom. Now, snagging a high-end watch was as easy as ordering takeout, just with a few more zeros on the bill. And what about those stimulus checks? Designed to help cover the essentials, they often found their way into less essential, more luxurious avenues. Apparently, nothing says economic relief quite like splashing out on a watch that costs more than a car. Then there's the curious case of supply chain snarls, which made high-demand models as rare as sensible tweets during a celebrity feud. This scarcity sent prices skyrocketing faster than a space-bound billionaire turning these timepieces from mere accessories into symbols of unobtainable luxury. In the midst of uncertainty, many found solace in the glow of new purchases. Retail therapy became the go-to coping mechanism, and high-end watches were like comfort food for the soul, only much, much pricier. Let's be real, who among us didn't eye that online shopping cart a little more during lockdown? With the spike in demand and the squeeze on supply, watch prices did what they do best, climbed. Watches transcended their role as timekeepers and morphed into financial assets. They became the Wall Street of the wrist, where every tick could mean a potential tock towards profit. As the market soared, the scalpers swooped in. These market mercenaries hoarded hot-ticket watches only to flip them at exorbitant prices, making it nigh on impossible for genuine buyers to get their hands on the latest models without forking over a small fortune. Reflecting on this pandemic-fueled watch bonanza, it's clear that while the world might have been on pause, the appetite for luxury ticked on stronger than ever. The luxury watch market not only survived the storm, it surfed the waves in style. Moving forward, it's anyone's guess how these shifts will reshape the luxury landscape, but one thing remains certain: the timelessness of a great watch is always in vogue. The market collapse and return to normalcy. As we all started to crawl out from under the pandemic's shadow, the world and the luxury watch market began to settle into what you might call a new normal. That booming market, it started to show signs of cooling down, like a party when the music stops and the lights come on. Inflation started creeping up, and interest rates followed suit, leading everyone to tighten the purse strings. High-ticket indulgences like luxury watches quickly moved from must-have to maybe later. It seemed like overnight, splurging on a flashy timepiece became as out of fashion as handshakes. With wallets feeling a bit lighter, the justification for dropping a small fortune on luxury bling just wasn't there. Meanwhile, the resale market for watches turned into a bit of a jam-packed jamboree. Everyone seemed to be trying to offload their fancy watches before the prices took a nosedive. As restrictions lifted and life started buzzing again, people shifted their spending back to the good old days of travel, dining out, and soaking up experiences. Essentially, all the fun stuff we missed while cooped up. It was like everyone was trying to compensate for a year's worth of lost Saturdays. The pandemic also tweaked our perspectives a bit. After a hefty dose of uncertainty, many of us realized that hanging out with loved ones packed more joy than accumulating high-end hardware. Sometimes it takes a global timeout to figure out the essentials. With production lines back in full swing and supply chains untangling themselves, the rarefied air around luxury watches began to thin. The hype cooled down, and the market began to look a bit more level-headed. Don't forget about the tech-savvy scene, though. Smartwatches continued to climb the popularity charts, particularly with the younger folks. Brands like Apple and Samsung were dishing out new gadgets that kept traditional watchmakers on their toes, trying to find that sweet spot between classic cool and cutting edge. So, are we in for another market rollercoaster? Probably. Markets love a good cycle. It's like fashion. What goes out inevitably comes back around. Whether it's watches, real estate, or any collectible, big shakeups tend to send values spinning. If history has its way, we might just see another upheaval shake things up again. But until then, we'll keep our eyes on the time, watching for the next big tick or tock. Well, that's the scoop on the luxury watch market's wild ride from sky high to level ground. Got any watch tales that tick like ours? Share them in the comments or toss in your questions about the ticking luxuries we all love. Enjoyed our journey through time? Smash that like button and subscribe to Opulent Oasis for more luxe explorations. Craving more content? Drop your topic ideas below and they might just make our next feature. Thanks for hanging with us. Keep those watches wound and your curiosity buzzing. Catch you next time on Opulent Oasis, where the conversation is always timely and the company top-notch.